some more modifications to the routine. Tomorrow I'll be leaving around 11 o'clock. So morning 6:30 to 8:30 session I'll take, and then I'll leave. Physics teacher will come on Monday. So Sunday as usual you have study hours, no teaching classes, it goes on. And during the day, morning 6:30 session to evening 11 p.m. session. During all the sessions, except the morning 6:30 to 8:30 and evening 8:30 to 11, the senior faculty will be here in all the sessions. All right. Teaching time of 9:30 to 12:30. Whoever is there for the week will be here. Otherwise, 2 to 4, 5:30 to 8:30 also, the senior faculty will be here. So this will be the place where you can come and ask your individual questions also. So if there is anything, that particular concept you are stuck at, something that you want to discuss, all of that can be done here. If two people are sitting across a table and speaking, I think there will be no disturbance for the others also. This is manageable. All right. Initially we thought we will have those arrangements in the staff room, but for you to move to the staff room and come back, it is again a disruption in the study time. All right. So that one arrangement to make the senior faculty available to you for 5 hours in a day during the practice hours. All right. And the resident faculties also will be available in every session. So you can start asking your clarifications with them, take their help also. So this is one thing. All right. That's all. And I had told that I will be discussing the questions, but I don't want to rush with that. I want to give you time. I heard that some of the questions were, the answer keys were wrong in some of the questions. So you do your analysis, complete your analysis. From next visit onwards, it will be only paper-based discussions only anyways. Okay. I will be making available my explanations for every question in a soft copy format for every paper. But one commitment I want from you is you will look at it only after you have made your analysis and made your personal notes. All right. Only then it will be meaningful. So not the standard available solutions from anywhere, but we will be building solutions for you in our own way to suit our program. So that will be your additional notes, but in soft copy. So you will make your own notes based on the post-test analysis that you do. And after, let's say, 1 week's gap. Now if I start discussing, it is like giving my solutions to the questions, which I don't want to do it. Monday you have done the test. Maybe with the gap of 1 week, you will start getting the solutions from my end. Similarly with the other faculty also. So before we meet the next time, you would have done your own post-test analysis, your own notes. You would have gone through the solutions that we provide you, soft copies. And when I come back, we will have discussions. So it will be more of a conversational discussion once you have done all that preparation. Test your own analysis, your own notes, go through the notes based on the analysis the teacher has given, add anything that you want to add to your notes, continue, repeat. All right. One more suggestion I want to give you for your notes, personal notes that you are making. All right. From time to time, notes will build. Anyways, you can do it in books. Let us not bother about that. Okay. Anyways, okay. Clear? This much we will do. So we will continue with our discussion on what we had initiated yesterday on human physiology. By today and tomorrow, if we can finish the entire human physiology and genetics, all the major important portions where significant number of questions will come would have been touched upon. All right. We discussed digestive system. We discussed just the story-based purpose, design and function related to circulatory system. We will go a little bit more into it and know a little bit more specifics of the design and correlate with the function. All right. Purpose is very clear. Move the circulatory fluid throughout the body to act as a medium of material exchange. That's all, no? There are materials in terms of nutrients, electrolytes, hormones to be transported, gaseous exchange, transportation of gases, all of that needs to be done. So circulatory system is designed to give you a means of moving this material throughout the body. Based on where it is going, the respective organs will do what they are supposed to do. When the blood is flowing in around the, when the circulatory fluid is flowing around the digestive system, the absorbed nutrients will be loaded. When it is moving around the lungs, gaseous exchange is happening. When it is moving around, when it is moving into the kidneys, metabolic wastes are being removed. When it is moving into the liver, detoxification is happening. When it is going around the tissues, when it is going to the tissues of the body, everywhere, nutrient uptake, metabolic waste, loading of metabolic waste into the circulatory fluid, taking up of carbon dioxide, oxygen, giving up of carbon dioxide. So everywhere, the specific exchange related to what the organ is designed to do is happening. The function of the circulatory system is to ensure that this keeps flowing. How it is designed to, how is the design to make the flow happen, and how is the energy required for the flow made available is what we have to discuss. That's all. Alright. So the power is coming, the energy for the flow of, there are three components in the circulatory system. I will divide the circulation into two parts: blood circulation and lymphatic circulation. That's all, no? External to the cells, there are two fluids which are circulating, which are moving around in the body: blood and lymph. So we have blood circulation and lymphatic circulation. We will look at it one by one and then overlap. Okay? I have half an hour to finish circulatory system. 9:45 we started, 10:15 we should finish. Okay. Somehow this hierarchical approach goes step by step. What has been working for me, what has worked for thousands of my students, what I am very confident that it will work, so we will do that way only. All right. In the blood circulation system, what do we have? The pump, vessels and fluid. Pump, vessels and fluid. That's all. Pump is heart, vessels are arteries and veins, the fluid is blood. That's all. Pump is the heart, vessels are arteries and veins, fluid is blood. Now when it comes to the fluid, there is a challenge. There is a challenge. All our cells are aerobic cells. All our cells are aerobic cells, though anaerobic respiration, anaerobic metabolism also is possible only in times of crisis and only for a limited period of time. You cannot do it continuously, perpetually, but aerobic respiration is what happens continuously. That means every cell has to be made available a good amount of oxygen. Both oxygen and carbon dioxide is transported by blood. Both oxygen and carbon dioxide is transported by attachment to RBCs predominantly and dissolved in the blood also. So, when it comes to blood, we have to be very clear about ensuring that the supply of blood with higher levels of oxygen is happening to the tissues, and when the blood that is coming from the tissues, which is loaded with more of carbon dioxide, is passed on to the lungs in a way that it gets removed of oxygen and loaded with removed of carbon dioxide and loaded with oxygen. So the need for ensuring that these two types of bloods, the two types of blood with higher levels of oxygen and blood with higher levels of carbon dioxide. See, even in the blood with higher levels of carbon dioxide, the level of carbon dioxide will not be more than the level of oxygen. You should know that. The amount of the proportion of carbon dioxide in the air that we breathe is 0.03%. Oxygen is 21%. So it can never be that the deoxygenated blood has more carbon dioxide than oxygen. No. It is just that oxygen that can be removed from the blood has been removed, and the oxygen present in that is not much available for utilization because it functions in partial pressure principle, and it has more carbon dioxide than it was in the initial stage. That's all. Alright. So that is what we have to be sure. So these two have to be kept separate. When we are designing the pump, what we need to ensure for the design of the pump, we need to ensure that both the types of blood, oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. So we are not talking about carbonated blood. We are only talking about it in terms of oxygen. Blood which has loaded oxygen, blood which has unloaded oxygen. Oxygenated blood, deoxygenated blood. Both these blood should be kept separate. We should not allow mixing of these two blood. That's all. So pump has to be designed in a way that there are two compartments. Compartment which will deal with oxygenated blood, compartment which will deal with deoxygenated blood. So that is the first design element that we have to keep in mind. Alright. So we divide it. How is it divided in our body? The left side of the heart is dealing with oxygenated blood, and the right side of the heart is dealing with deoxygenated blood. So this is one aspect done, divide. What do you call that partition? What do you call the partition which separates the two sides of the heart? Septum. A septa is a partition. Septa means partition also, but not in English. Most of our scientific terminologies come from Greek and Latin. Why Greek and Latin? Why not we keep it in simple English? Why Greek and Latin? It is a dead language, correct. See, if I use all the scientific terminologies in my mother tongue, you will be unhappy. You will feel discriminated against. If we keep everything in English, the non-English speaking world will oppose. Why should we? We will not do it. We don't like it. Keep it in my language. I'll be more than happy. So, Greek and Latin are ancient languages which are not in general usage today. So, Greek and Latin terminologies will become neutral then. Somebody who belongs to nobody belongs to everybody. That's all, no? Somebody who belongs to nobody belongs to everybody, because this fellow cannot claim ownership or relationship with anybody, neither can anybody claim ownership of this fellow. So, I'll give you one thing. Where is our businessman? Somebody who wanted to do one thing and she wanted to do business. Where is she? Huh? Oh, she has gone for a... Okay. She's not here. In business, when you are giving responsibilities to people in your company, you build a company, you're all becoming doctors. No, so I'll assume that you will build hospitals. Can't say that I am a doctor, I am building institutions, educational institutions. But whatever is the establishment, whatever is the institution you build, hospital is also an institution. A business is also an institution. If you tell people, anybody can do anything. See, I am a very open boss. We don't have hierarchies. There is so much of work to do. All of you are free to choose whatever you want to do. Nobody will do anything. Okay? If you allow everybody to do whatever they want to do, nobody will do anything. So you have to be clear in giving responsibilities. You have to tell clearly this is what you are supposed to do, this is what you are not supposed to do. This is what you may or may not do. Similarly for the, why did this come up? I lost the link from where this came. Okay, design. We are designing this left and right, dealing with oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Alright, done. Then, there are two more things. Where do we need this blood? Where do we need the blood to go? We need the blood to reach tissues. We need the blood to reach the tissues. That is where there is a need for exchange. Every cell of the body has the same demand, more or less. The extent of demand might be different, but every cell of the body has the similar demands. Demand for nutrients, demand for oxygen. Everybody is producing the same kind of waste, metabolic wastes and carbon dioxide. So it has to reach, everybody means it has to reach the ground level. So no point sitting in the government as the chief minister or the prime minister, you make some policy. Unless it reaches the ground level, it means nothing. Action is at the ground level, decision is at the top level. Alright. So there are two more things to take care of. You need to design things which will carry material to the tissue, and you need to design things which will bring material from the tissue. So there is a delivery mechanism and there is a receipt mechanism. Correct? Both of this should be designed. Heart or the pump is where there is highest pressure, where there is a highest pressure, where there is very high pressure. It is a very powerful muscle. None of the pipelines, none of the vessels that you can design can withstand that kind of pressure. So whatever vessels are closer to the heart, they need to be designed to withstand the pressure created by the heart. Correct? Otherwise they'll just break. If you have seen water pipelines to supply cities, wherever the water is originating, the pipelines will be very huge and they will be made up of very powerful, very strong material. But as they come closer to your home, they will be 3/4 of an inch pipe, PVC pipe. From the pipeline to your house is a PVC pipe, 3/4 of an inch thickness, 3/4 of an inch diameter. Thickness will be 2 millimeter, 2 millimeter thickness. Alright. So, and when it comes to your house inside, again you have from the overhead tank you have 1 inch pipes. Then as it start taking deviation into your respective rooms, 3/4 of an inch. Then your taps will be 1/2 an inch. That's all, no? Why? Why so? Can we reverse it? Smaller pipes coming from the overhead tank, bigger pipes as it reaches the point of usage. Can we do that? See, you are a civil engineer also, understanding this. You are a plumber. Now you have to become a plumber. Well, how do you do plumbing? This is plumbing only. There is a pump, there are houses which are tissues and cells, you are creating pipelines. The difference between the plumbing that happens here and the plumbing that happens in cities is, the plumbing for potable water and the plumbing for sewage water are different. They go to different pumps. But in this plumbing system, potable water and the sewage water, all of them flow in the same network. And all of them go to the same pump. See? Everything is being loaded into the same pipelines. It's an intelligent plumbing system. What we have created for our cities is not intelligent, so it has to be mechanical. Alright. Now, bigger pipes carrying fluid, when the fluid goes into smaller pipe, smaller than what it was, what will happen to the volume of flow? The volume of flow per cross section, will it be reduced or increased? Reduced. The volume per cross section of the pipe will reduce. There is an inverse relationship between volume and pressure. Volume and pressure are inversely related. That means if the volume increases, pressure decreases. If the volume decreases, pressure increases. Now there are two aspects here. This volume pressure relationship with respect to the circulatory system, you need to understand. Volume is of blood vessels also, volume is of blood also. If you increase there are blood vessels and there is blood flowing inside the blood vessels. I'll keep two blood vessels of the same size. And I will increase the flow of blood in one of the pipes, one of the vessel. I am increasing the flow of blood in one of the vessel. So the volume of blood flow is increasing in the same size vessel. The vessel size is kept constant. What will happen to the pressure? Pressure of flow? Decrease. You have two 3/4 of an inch pipes. You have two 3/4 of an inch pipe. 100 ml of 100 liters of water is flowing per minute. 100 liters water per minute is too much. Let us say 10 liters of water is flowing per minute in both the pipes. Now I increase the volume of flow to 15 liters of water flowing in one pipe. What will happen to the pressure in that pipe? Pressure of water flow? Decrease. This is what happens when you try to answer by what you have memorized. Common sense. Apply common sense. There are two pipes. Let us say we will do this. This is pipe number 1. This is pipe number 2. What am I attaching to this? Funnel. I am supposed to empty some volume of water in a particular time. Initially, I have let's say 20 liters of water that I am putting into this. I am putting 20 liters of water into this, both of them. So there is some water flowing here. Pressure. So pressure will determine how far the water is going. Correct? No? The water is going to a particular distance. So if the water, instead of coming here, if it goes like this, what does it mean? Pressure has increased or decreased? Pressure has increased. Now instead of 20 liters of water, let's say I am putting 20 liters of water per minute. Both places I am putting 20 liters of water. Here I will make it 30 liters of water per minute. I am increasing the volume of water that I am adding into this pipeline per minute. What will happen to the flow? Will it decrease? Increase. Then what happened to your volume pressure relationship? Common sense, no? If I am pouring 20 liters of water into both these funnels per minute, there is certain pressure. But in the same duration, I am increasing the volume that I am pouring into this. Will this flow decrease? Did everybody get the logic behind this? Commonsensical logic, observational logic. What happened to volume pressure relationship then? Is it fluid being constant and the volume of the pipe being altered, or the volume of the pipe being constant and the fluid being altered? Both cases are there. You can keep the pipe constant and increase the flow of fluid, or you can keep the flow constant and vary the size of the pipe. All right. Now let us say I am keeping this same 20 liters I am putting. Here I reduce the size of the pipe. Now what will be the pressure? Which one will have higher pressure, A or B? A will have higher pressure. I have kept the volume of the fluid constant, but I have altered the volume of the pipe. This understanding is important to understand blood pressure. Questions related to blood pressure are common questions where students go wrong, because you will be just by memory assuming that If volume increases, pressure should decrease. Now can you tell me, volume pressure relationship is inversely proportional to the vessel or blood? Volume pressure relationship is inversely proportional to the vessel or blood? Vessel. If you increase the volume of the vessel, the pressure decreases. If you decrease the volume of the vessel, the pressure increases. Alright. Now, constriction and relaxation. If I talk about constriction and relaxation for vessel, when I say a vessel has relaxed or dilated, am I talking about decrease in the volume of the vessel or increasing the volume of the vessel? When I say the vessel is dilated, increase in the volume of the vessel. What will happen to the pressure of flow? Pressure of blood flow? It will decrease. If I talk about constricting a vessel, if I constrict a vessel, the volume of the vessel has decreased. So the pressure of flow will increase. I'll tell you about two types of drugs. Vaso is a reference to blood vessel. When I say something vessel, blood vessel, what will vasoconstrictor do? What will vasoconstrictors do to blood pressure? What will vasoconstrictors do to blood pressure? It will, because I cannot hear you all clearly, you have to show me by gesture. What will vasoconstrictors do to blood pressure? Increase. Vasoconstrictors will increase blood pressure. So if a patient comes to you with hypertension, will you give him vasoconstrictors or vasodilators? Vasodilators. Okay. So understand that we have to create a pipeline which is dynamic pipeline, which we can expand or decrease, constrict, which we can dilate or constrict. That is the kind of pipeline we have to build. That is the kind of vessel network we have to build. So to constrict or relax, how do you design it? What do you want to use as a material for building this pipeline? You cannot use something which is PVC, because PVC is rigid. You need to have something which is elastic, stretchable, something that can stretch as well as shorten. What material will you use to build the vessels as the primary material? You will package it. It will not be the only thing. But what do you want to be? See, the purpose of this pipeline, because at times you will have to increase pressure, you will have to decrease pressure of flow. You have to regulate the flow, no? Correct? When you have eaten a lot of food, why do you feel sleepy after you eat a lot of food? Why do you feel sleepy after you eat a lot of food? Because one of the reasons, there are multiple reasons. One of the reasons is the volume of blood that we have in our body is limited, 5.5 liters. But the demand of blood is not uniform throughout the body at all times. Agree, disagree? If you are running, where do you want the blood supply to be more? You want the blood supply to be more for the muscles. Why? What is the demand there? At the level of muscles, what is the demand for the muscle? The muscle is asking for what? It is asking for more oxygen and also glucose. For post-independence time, there were challenges related to encouraging people to get educated. Lot of children were out of school, they were not going to school. Over a period of time, initiatives came up which said that if the child is not coming to school, take the school to the child. What? I don't understand those technical terms. You have to bring it down to my level of understanding. Layman's layman. No, not the portal system. Portal system is associated with the liver. We are talking about the entire venous network. Pay attention to the clues. That is a clue that I gave you. If the child does not go to the school, take the school to the child. What created pressure for the flow of blood in the arterial system? There are two things. Something created pressure and something sustained pressure. What created pressure and what sustained pressure? What created the pressure for flow? Heart. What is heart? What is heart? Structurally, what is heart? Huh? What is heart structurally? Muscle. What sustained the flow of blood in the arterial system? Muscles. So what can create pressure and sustain pressure? Muscles. If the child does not go to school, take the school to the child. If you cannot have enough muscles in the walls of the vessels, put the vessels inside the muscles. Muscle should be inside of veins, sir. The muscles are in the wall of the artery. Now you want to have muscles in the chamber. What will it do?
The muscle outside the wall of veins.
Which muscles? The veins are designed in two ways. One, superficial veins, what you see on your skin, under your skin. Those are superficial veins. And the major veins are the deep veins. Where are these deep veins? The deep veins are embedded inside the skeletal muscles. Your skeletal muscles everywhere, no, on the skeleton. So all the venous drainage is taken and it is all pushed into the deep veins. Deep veins are put into the skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles are powerful. Skeletal muscles have a tone. That tone will, the contraction and relaxation, contraction of the skeletal muscles will create pressure for the blood to flow. Has it ever happened that you are traveling in a bus, you are seated on your on the seat, you have slept off for half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, and when you wake up, have you experienced that feeling in your limb? It feels heavy, tingling sensation. What happened? Because of the pressure of the seat on your muscle, the muscle is being pressed. What is inside this muscle? Deep veins. So you are pressing the deep veins. Because the veins are being pressed, the veins cannot hold its own tension. If I am pressing this, if I am pressing my hand here, like when we measure blood pressure, we put a tourniquet around your arm and increase the pressure. Increase the pressure. When we increase the pressure, these veins start becoming big, into which I can put catheter also, cannula also, or I will just check the pressure. When the veins are when the pressure is increased so much, the flow stops in the arteries. When you press the muscle so much, the flow stops in the arteries. But veins, if you just hold it here strongly by your own hand, you will start distension of the veins. That means the veins are not able to drain, they are getting compressed. Here also the same thing happened. You are pressing the muscle, that is pressing the vein, the blood is not getting drained enough, the blood is going into the limb but not being drained. What is the nature of the vein? They can distend. So a lot of blood got accumulated in the lower limb. Now when you release that pressure, what will happen? All that accumulated blood will start rushing through the vein. So the movement of accumulated blood, when the blood started getting accumulated, it started pressing on the surrounding nerves. And when you release the pressure, suddenly that pressure on the nerves is released and the tingling sensation is because of that. So what do you do to quickly overcome that? You will start moving your foot, you will start rotating your foot and all that. When you are doing that, what are you doing? You are increasing the contraction of your muscles. By increasing the contraction of your muscles, you are pumping blood faster in the veins. Understood? Veins don't have muscles in their wall. So to create enough pressure for blood to flow in the venous system back to the heart, how is the design? The veins have been put inside the skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles are very powerful muscles. Think of your lower limb muscles. They are very powerful. The limb muscles are powerful. They are peripheral. These muscles, the upper part of the body flows. It is closer to the heart. So the neck muscles will help in flow of that. The chest muscles, the pectoral muscles will help in flow. Pump, push it. The lower limb muscles, push it. You understand? So this is the pipeline. There are many more things to discuss. We will discuss as we go about discussing question related concepts. Now, did you get the understanding of this? Did you get an understanding? Vessel network should be designed like this. Purpose is blood should keep flowing. For the blood to keep flowing, what will not allow blood to flow is what you have to ask. Alright, I should survive is the statement. Why will I not survive is the question that I should ask. To ensure my survival, I have to survive is the question that is the statement, is the purpose. To ensure my survival, I have to devise a plan to survive. For that, I need to understand what will make me not survive. What is threatening my survival? I should understand that. What can kill me is what I should understand. And try to find out ways by which I can avoid being killed by that. Even with all that, there might be chances, there might be possibilities that something still might go wrong. So what is the mechanism by which I can counter those things which will come as a surprise? You design all that, you have a system. All right. So this is an entrepreneurship class also, right? You want to sell a product. You have something which you feel. You have a dish that your mother cooks, which is very tasty. You love it. You want to make it a business. You want to sell it. You want to make it a business. What should you do? You should first find out, is it only you who love it or other people also will love it? So what will you do? You will test it with other people, free samples. You will give free samples to other people, you will give it to some 50 people, 100 people, get their feedback on how they are liking it. Based on that, you will come to a conclusion, people are liking it or not liking it. If a large number of people who are not obligated to tell you they like it because it is you who is telling them, are liking it, then probably you get an idea that, okay, this people might like. Now, how do you make it a business? Now you say, I want to make money by selling this. You should start thinking, why will people not pay for this? Then you will start realizing, because I am carrying it in polythene cover. So you have to work on packaging. It looks very rough, it doesn't look premium in terms of its designing. So you might work on altering the way you make it. If it is a round shaped sweet that you are making it uniform, making it look premium, making it look attractive to the eyes, all of that. Then you have to think, okay, I want 25 rupees or 50 rupees per sweet, per item. Why should people pay for that? Think of those reasons. Why will they think not to pay for it? Those reasons. Then when you design all of this, how do I reach out to people? How do I sell? How do I market? People will take, I am sending 10,000 units of it. How do I know whether those 10,000 units of it is reaching the vendors, reaching the retail outlets? Let's say you have decided to give 10,000 units in samples for people to taste it. How do you know 10,000 people have tasted it? These fellows, the marketing fellows might take it to their home. They might distribute 100 to whoever they want. They are not selling it in the market. How do you know? So you have to set up a system. Once you set up a system, you know what to look for deviations, to identify deviations. So every system that you are studying is like that. Purpose, design, function. You apply this to a business, it will still work. Purpose, design, function. How do you, what is the purpose of doing it? The more acceptable the purpose is for a large number of people, the bigger is the possibility of the growth of your business. If you want to be a millionaire, you should solve a problem which is relevant to million people, which is a problem for million people. If you want to be a billionaire, you will solve problems which affects a billion people. That's all, no? So you cannot decide which problem might be relevant for billion people. You have to identify a problem which you feel connected to and which you feel you can solve. Then start solving it. Based on how big the problem is that you are addressing, you will make money. You cannot decide, I will become a billionaire and start something. Anyways, so see, everything is connected. Purpose, design, action. We understood the purpose of this. Keep the blood flowing. Design, pump, vessels. Vessels we saw in detail, how the design should be, without going into technical terminologies. I have just told you the story. Now all that I have to do is tell you the names for different parts of the story. There are so many characters here. I just have to tell the names of the characters. Then you know the story with the characters. That's all. What mistake we do while learning is, we try to focus too much on the characters and miss the story. Forget the characters, get the story. Once you are clear with the story, then build the characters, then relate it to the characters. Then it makes sense. You have to first make sense and then build references. Not focus on references before making sense. Alright, vessel network, we are clear? So now I'll ask you a question. Which of the vessel systems, which of the vessel network is a two-tier network? Arterial network or venous network? Two-tier network. There are two levels of vessels. Two-tier. Are you understanding what I am telling? Let's say these vessel networks are roads. Which of these two is a double-decker road? Huh? Venous network is a double-decker road. There is a superficial road network and is a deep road network. Arterial system is straight, one level. Which of these two road networks have tolls, toll gates? Huh? Venous. What are the tolls? What are the toll gates? Valves. Valves. Which of these two networks are one-way networks? Huh? Which of these two are one-way networks? One-way traffic. Both are one-way traffic, no? Neither of them will allow backflow. Both of them will allow one-way movement. But partial backflows are possible in arteries or veins? Arteries, huh? Why? Because there are no valves. Backflow is not because of not having valves. Valves are because there is backflow. You are having valves to prevent backflow. If you are not having valves in the arterial system, it means that backflow doesn't happen there. Correct? So, you see it? You are not having backflow because there are valves. The thing is, you are having valves because there is backflow in veins. It is because of valves, backflow is not through the length. The column rises when there is contraction of the muscle, and when there is a bit relaxation, the column falls. The column of blood can fall in the venous network, but it will not go all the way down because there are valves. Understand? Okay. Now keep this story. As you go through questions, you will be able to make more sense on it. So this is done. Enough of this. Fluid also. Blood. For now, blood. Enough. Blood is made up of what? Plasma and Formed elements. Formed elements are all the cells. What cells we have? Three types of cells. RBCs, WBCs, platelets. Plasma has, what does plasma have? It has serum, which is a clear fluid, and you have proteins. Three types of proteins: albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen. Correct? Albumin is useful for managing dead bodies of RBCs. How? Albumin is useful for managing dead bodies of RBCs. Globulin is associated with immunity. Fibrinogen is associated with ensuring the vessel integrity. Vessel integrity means what? The vessel should not break. The vessel should not have leakages. If there are leakages or any situation where blood loss might happen, fibrinogen will come into picture and create a mesh. Will create a barrier for loss of blood. Alright, that's all. Everything has a purpose. Albumin is doing two things. One, it will help in maintaining the volume of blood. Two, it will help in disposal of dead RBCs. How? We will see. Get some question related to that, we will discuss. Alright. See, there is, alright, in all of this, as the vessels come closer and closer to the capillary network, the blood vessels become what? They become thin and porous, meaning at the peripheries of the blood vessel network, there is loss of fluid. Fluid loss happens. That means in every circulation, the fluid is going out of blood vessels. It has to be put back into blood vessels. Who will drain this fluid from the tissue space? Who will drain the fluid from the tissue space? Lymphatics. The lymphatic vessels will drain it, and lymphatic vessels will carry it back to the heart. Which part of the heart, which side of the heart do you want the lymphatics to drain? Right side or left side? Right side, because this space, whatever is being drained by the lymphatics, will also have wastes, will also have metabolic waste and all that, so put it into the right side. From the right side, blood pumped from the right side goes where? Blood pumped from the right side goes where? Lungs. Blood pumped from the left side goes into the tissue circulation, systemic circulation we call it, correct? So blood going from heart, reaching the lungs and coming back to heart. The circulation is one circuit, that is one circuit. We have two circuits of circulation, yes, with heart at its center. Blood begins in the heart, goes to the lungs, comes back to the heart. So the beginning and end is the heart. You should remember, for the circulation, beginning and end is the heart. Beginning from the heart, going to the lungs and coming back to the heart. What do you call this circuit? What circulation is this? Pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary is a reference to lungs. Pulmonary circulation. Beginning from the heart, going to all parts of the body, coming back to the heart. What type of circulation is this? It is going to all systems of the body. So that type of circulation is systemic circulation. Both the things together, we refer to the circulation in our body as double circulation. That's all. Alright. So when it comes to the pump, we discussed the right side of the pump, the right side of the heart deals with what type of blood? Deoxygenated blood. The left side of the heart deals with oxygenated blood. Heart is performing two functions. One, it is receiving blood, it is pumping blood. To receive blood, do you need to have high pressure or low pressure? To receive blood, you need to have high pressure chambers or low pressure chambers? Low pressure chambers. To pump blood, you need to have high pressure chambers or low pressure chambers? Higher pressure chambers. Can any particular chamber be performing both the functions, receiving blood and pumping blood? They do. How many chambers are there in the heart? 4 chambers are there in the heart. All the 4 chambers are muscle only. All the 4 chambers are made of muscles only. What are the upper chambers called? Upper chambers are called atrium. There is right atrium, left atrium. Lower chambers are called ventricles. Right ventricle, left ventricle. Alright. All the chambers are capable of receiving as well as pumping. Because of a network of valves, and synchronized or a sequential contraction relaxation, the direction of flow of blood is regulated. Alright. What do you call that? Synchronized contraction relaxation of the heart. That is the cardiac cycle. Correct? Cardiac cycle is synchronized contraction and relaxation of the heart to ensure heart receives blood and pumps blood. That's all. That is cardiac cycle. And who makes it possible? Muscles will contract because of electrical stimulation. You need to stimulate the muscles electrically for it to contract. So you need to have a mechanism of electrical stimulation of the muscles of the heart. So you have the electrical conducting system of the heart. Electrical conducting system of the heart will contribute to the cardiac cycle. Cardiac cycle will cause rhythmic reception of blood and pumping of blood, which keeps the circulation flowing. Clear? So there are few things here. Four chambers of the heart. This is right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. This is interatrial septum. This is interventricular septum. Here there is a vessel starting from the heart, from the right ventricle. Here there is a vessel that is starting from the left ventricle. Correct? Now this receives blood. Upper chamber pumps blood into the lower chamber. Lower chamber pumps blood into its respective vessel. That's all, no? Clear? So when the upper chamber is receiving blood, should it be in contraction or relaxation? When it is receiving blood, should it be in any of the chambers, whether it is upper chamber or lower chamber, while it receives blood, should it be in contraction or relaxation? Relaxation. When it has to squeeze blood out, pump blood, it has to be in contraction. Relaxation of any chamber is referred to by the term what? What is the term in the heart we refer to it for relaxation? Diastole. Contraction of any chamber of the heart is called systole. Systole. So now tell me, blood starts filling into the upper chambers. Passively it starts filling. So these fellows will be in what? Diastole. They will be in diastole. Now when the pressure of the blood starts becoming higher, the pressure on the valves, AV valves, atrioventricular valves, what will happen to the pressure on the valve? Pressure on the valve increases. These are mechanical valves. When the pressure increases, the valve will open. When the valve opens, blood will start flowing from upper chamber to lower chamber. Now what is the status of this? Systole or diastole? Still diastole. Still diastole. Blood is passively filling. Blood reaches a certain level. The pressure opens the valve. It is coming down to the ventricle. When the ventricle is receiving in this stage, ventricle is in systole or diastole? Diastole. So the story that we are looking at right now, both of them are in diastole. What do we call that? Joint diastole. Now as the blood flows down, what will happen to the pressure on the valve? As the blood empties partially, what will happen to the pressure on the valve? The pressure on the valve will decrease. So what will the valve try to do? It will try to close. Can you allow that? The atrium is not completely emptied. So what should the atrium do now? It should go into systole, it will squeeze blood out. Now atrium goes into systole. When atrium goes into systole, whatever remaining blood is there, it is pushed into the lower chamber. What is this doing at this time? It is in diastole. Now when this is completely emptied, by the time the upper chambers are completely empty, the lower chambers are getting stretched because of the blood that is filling it up. This will go into diastole, this will go into systole. When this goes into systole, blood will try to rush through all the passages. There is one passage here, one passage here. These are valves. This valve cannot allow flow in this direction. So as soon as this ventricle goes into systole, what will happen to the AV valves? They will shut. When they shut, that is when you get your heart beat. Alright? When the AV valve closes, that is when you get your first heart sound, lub. At the same time, what happens to the valves in this pulmonary artery and aorta? They are pushed open. They are pushed open. So blood flows out of the heart. From the right side through the pulmonary artery into the lungs. From the left side through the aorta into the systemic circulation. So double circulation is happening one after the other or simultaneously? Simultaneously. If you have to represent double circulation, what will you mark as the first beginning, starting point of the double circulation? Whichever circulation it is. I told you beginning and end should be heart. So the beginning is ventricle or atrium? Ventricle. Blood begins in the heart, goes to the lungs, comes back to the heart. That is pulmonary circulation. Tell me in terms of chambers. Trace the pulmonary circulation. What is the first step in pulmonary circulation? Where does the blood begin from? In pulmonary circulation? Now you have to become more specific. Which part of the heart? Right ventricle. So pulmonary circulation is right ventricle to lungs to right atrium, left atrium. So double circulation begins in a particular chamber of the heart, lower chamber, goes to its circulatory pathway, comes back to the opposite upper chamber. So when it is coming back means to the atrium only. It is going from heart means it is from the ventricles. Think about where it is going, then you can know where it should be coming from. The blood going to the lungs should be coming from? The blood going to the lungs should be coming from where? From right side of the heart. On the right side of the heart, which chamber can it come from? Lower chamber. So it has to be right ventricle. If the blood is coming from the lungs, what type of blood is that? Oxygenated blood. It has to go to which side of the heart? Left side of the heart. If the blood is going to the heart, to which chamber it should go? Upper chamber. So blood coming from the lungs, which is oxygenated blood, has to go to the left upper chamber of the heart, which is left atrium. Purpose, design, function. Think about everything on these three lines. You build a structure in your mind, then you correlate with what actually it is. Alright? Without even reading the next system, let's say we are done with this almost now. Let's say respiratory system, excretory system, we have two more to complete. Digestive system, circulatory system, we have completed mostly in terms of purpose, design and action format. There are two more systems. Maybe we will be able to touch upon the nervous system also. I don't know. Let's see how much we will be able to go till tomorrow. Without even reading in your book, you can apply the purpose, design, action PDA formula to these systems. Think on those lines. Now excretory system, we will do that. We will do that from your side. Alright. This we will complete. This is done. What else we need to think about here? Double circulation we touched upon. Electrical conducting system is a network of generators, electricity generators and wires to deliver electric shock to the muscles. That's all is the electrical conducting system. Are they contracting simultaneously? Are the upper chambers and lower chambers contracting simultaneously? No. Are both the upper chambers contracting simultaneously? Yes. The upper chambers are contracting and relaxing like one unit. The lower chambers are contracting and relaxing like one unit. So when you supply electricity, they contract. When there is no electricity, they will relax. So you have to synchronize the supply of electricity such that when this is getting electricity, this is not. So this is receiving blood, this is squeezing out blood. When this is squeezing blood, this should relax. At some point of time, this is also in relaxation, this is also in relaxation. Passive filling of blood is happening. When there is pressure required, this will squeeze, this will fill, then squeeze. Simultaneously, it will not happen. That's all. Link and start building the story in your mind. Once you build it in your mind, then you have to look at what is actually given in your book. Then corrections will happen. Being in a hurry to do things faster is what will make us lose out on the process. Success is easy. Excellence is sustainable. Excellence cannot be achieved by skipping the steps in the process. Alright? The process for achieving excellence is explore, experiment, experience, and then comes excellence. Success can be through shortcuts. A lot of people who clear exams might be doing it through shortcuts. This is the answer, go about doing it. Understand the pattern, prepare according to the pattern, do it. But only those who have laid the foundations of excellence in their preparation will be able to survive and grow and progress in the long run. Alright. So explore, give time to think in your mind, in your own ways, with whatever you can understand. Then you check it, test it, whether it is right, wrong. Can I see this? You apply, so you experiment. Then as you start experimenting, you will experience the reality of the knowledge that you have gained. Then you will excel. Alright. So we'll do that. So circulatory system, done. We will apply PDA formula to excretory system now. Let us do it. Want a break? 5-10 minutes break. We will take a 10 minutes break for water, washroom, walking, stretching, all that. Okay, water, washroom, walking, W3, 3 Ws. I am fond of these short forms, some catchy phrases, easy to remember things. Huh? Okay, 10 minutes break. Those who want to vote for respiratory system, raise your hands. First discussion on respiratory system. I will make note of those who don't vote. Voting is compulsory in our democracy. If you are thinking of not voting, no, not that. Yes. So those of you who vote for respiratory system, raise your hands. Okay, I'll count the number of votes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those of you who want to vote for excretory system, raise your hands. There are people who have not voted. Those of you who have not voted, stand up. Anyways, parents have taken permission to give you money. When I put something to vote, you don't vote, you'll have to pay penalties. I'll collect money. Okay, so more for excretory system. Okay, we'll do PDA for excretory system, purpose of excretory system. And when I'm talking of excretory system, renal system is what I am referring to. If we broad base it, excretion is carried out by what all organs? What all organs contribute to excretion? Excretion of metabolic waste, kidney, liver, lungs, skin. All four contributes to excretion. Okay, purpose of renal system. Purpose, tell me, you have to tell me now. Purpose of renal system. What is the purpose of renal system? Come on. Elimination of metabolic wastes. Alright. Elimination of metabolic waste is the purpose. Now, where is this metabolic waste? Where do you have the metabolic waste? So you want to eliminate metabolic waste. From what? Can it go to every cell and pick it up? Where is the metabolic waste produced? Where is the metabolic waste produced? Cells. Which cells? Which cells produce metabolic waste? All cells which have metabolism. Every cell which has metabolism is producing some or the other metabolic waste. Alright, then. Is the metabolic waste only those that is produced by the cells? What else can be considered as metabolic wastes? Whatever liver detoxifies. See, some things that have been absorbed from the small intestines may not be necessary for the cells. So cells are not picking it up. The cells might have picked up a lot of these wastes which are metabolized inside the cell and thrown out, but part of it or a large amount of it might still be in the blood, which is not picked up by the cells. So wastes and toxins, all of the unwanted substances that are present in blood by virtue of being absorbed through the small intestine, which we might have ingested through our diet or through as a part of our food or otherwise, and those toxic or harmful substances or unwanted substances produced as a byproduct of cellular metabolism. So waste is being generated. The dumping yard for waste is what? What is the dumping yard for all the waste that is produced inside the body? Blood. Blood is the dumping yard. Clearance yard is kidneys. Alright. So purpose is to remove wastes that are present in the body, produced or absorbed into the body. Where is it found? Where is it found? Where do you have all of this present? In the blood. So the design, how should the design be? The design should be such that the presence of toxins in the blood is removed. That means you need to have something which will have the flow of blood into it. Whatever is the purification plant that you will produce, what should it purify? You want to create a purification plant. There are toxins, there are wastes in the blood. You need to have a blood purification unit. Correct? Blood purification unit. What is that blood purification unit in our body? Kidneys are the blood purification unit. So what the kidneys should be supplied with blood. Correct? Kidneys should be supplied with blood. Now, you decided that okay, we will have a purification plant. We will provide blood supply to that. We will provide pipelines by which blood reaches the kidneys. What kind of mechanism we need to have to remove unwanted substances? Now here the problem comes with blood having all the substances that are required by the body, not required by the body. Blood has a combination of useful substances, useless substances, harmful substances. What is required by the body is also there in the blood, moving around in the blood. What the body does not require is also moving around in the blood. What might be harmful to the body is also moving around in the blood. You have to take back everything that is required. You have to create a balance of things that are required to be maintained in homeostasis, homeostasis. Okay, a small deviation. What is the difference between homeostasis and equilibrium? Does our body function in homeostatic mechanism or equilibrium? Is our body in homeostasis or equilibrium? Homeostasis. Homeostasis is everything functioning within a range. Equilibrium is everything in a balance. Okay? In equilibrium there is no range. In homeostasis, changeless state is equilibrium. A state of no change is equilibrium. Alright? A state of continuous change is metabolism. Change happening within a range is homeostasis. That's all, no? Correlate this. I am a spiritual person, a philosophical person. So, everything seems to be some lesson for life. We come across people who say, I am like this, I have been like this forever, I never change. So if we look at it technically, that person is telling that he is in equilibrium. Equilibrium is a sign of death. In the ECG monitor, if you see any movies or any series, whenever you watch, as long as the monitor is showing ECG waves, the person is alive. When the person is dead, how do you represent death on the monitor? Flat line. Changeless state is death. Okay. The sign of being alive is continuous change. Metabolism. Metabolism is continuous change in the opposite direction. Correct? If you have increased glucose level in the body, what will the body try to do? It will try to reduce the glucose level. If you have low glucose in the body, what will the body try to do? It will break down stores and increase glucose level. Correct? When the glucose level is more, it is trying to reduce it. When the okay, you wanted it to be lesser, okay, now it is lesser, body will try to increase it. You reduced it, no. Then why are you increasing it? So it never goes in an equilibrium. There is no equilibrium, there is homeostasis. The sign of life is metabolism. Metabolism is a state of continuous change. Only those who submit themselves to continuous change are alive. Alive. Alright. Being alive and living are two different things. You are alive when you are submitting yourself to continuous change. When there is no change, it is a sign of death. Constant attempt to arrive at some balance despite continuous change is homeostasis. That is living. Your life is going up and down, up and down, up and down. Even with all those ups and downs, you try to have a range of functional comfort. Functional adaptation, that is a sign of you living. Alright. So when you are sad, you try to come back to a state of happiness. You cannot remain in happiness forever. Sometimes you might become very elated. That also will normalize. Alright. Being alive is continuous change. Being dead is no change. Living or life is to find the range of change and try to balance your life within that change, the range of change. Alright, that is homeostasis. Alright, now this mechanism, this purification factory that you are producing should make sure all that is required is retained, all that is useless or all that is harmful is removed, and everything that is retained is maintained in a balance. Is sodium required by the body? Is sodium required by the body? Should the purification unit, that is the kidney, retain sodium or throw away sodium? Should it retain sodium or throw away sodium? Retain. Completely? Balance. So when it comes to electrolytes and water, the volume of water in the blood, should it be maintained more or less in a narrow range, or should the blood hold all the water that you drink? What remains constant? Is it the volume of blood or the urine output? What remains constant? Volume of blood remains constant. It is always maintained within the range of 5 to 5.5 liters in an adult human being. If you drink a lot of water, will the volume of blood increase or will the volume of urine increase? Volume of urine increases. So is water required by the body or not required by the body? Water is required by the body. Should the purification unit retain water or throw water? Both, depending on what is the status inside the body, right? Like that. So, retention of essential things, discarding unwanted or harmful things, and maintaining a balance of all the chemicals that are required by the body. Balance. All these three things should be achieved by the purification plant or the kidney. So these are all design elements. You have to keep all this in mind while designing. One thing, you have to ensure that blood is flowing. What type of filter do you want to design now? Do you want to design a specific filter, non-specific filter, intelligent filter, mechanical filter? You have to go by logic. Now you know it is a mechanical filter. But assume that you did not know and you have been given the task of designing it. You are God's assistant and you have been told, design this system for human beings. Alright? You cannot just do a lousy job because God is accountable for this. Good or bad, boss will be held accountable. Correct? No, if you are an intern in the medical college, in the hospital, if you are an intern, the head of your unit will be held responsible. You do some nonsense and the patient dies or some complication happens, the head of the unit cannot say, it's my intern who did it. You are accountable. So now you have been given the job of designing. Build the logic for why it should be a mechanical filter. Okay, between mechanical filter and a specific filter, you want a mechanical filter. It is a mechanical filter that we have. Between being an intelligent filter or a dynamic filter or a simple physical filter. It is a simple physical filter. Why? Why so? We already discussed this logic in the previous class. Can anybody recall? Why the filtration in the kidney is mechanical and not specific? You have the glomerulus. The glomerular cells have foot processes. The overlapping of the foot processes creates pores in the glomerulus. So the filtration is based on the size of the particles in blood. As blood is flowing, whatever is smaller than the pore size will pass through it. Whatever is bigger will be retained. All the cells, the size of the pore is smaller than the smallest cells that you will find in the blood. The smallest cells are platelets. These are smaller than the platelets. These are smaller than the proteins, albumin, globulin and fibrinogen. So cells cannot pass, proteins cannot pass. The material that is flowing inside the blood, nutrients, metabolic wastes, all of these are processed small chemicals. They will all pass. Fluid easily pass. Correct? Now once you let it out, once you let out everything to flow, you need to have a design to take back what is required. So that is specific. The tube, nephron. Alright? And you cannot have one big chamber into which all the blood comes, filtration happens and whatever is there remains. No. It has to be made into microprocessors. Micro level processors. So what is the name of the individual microfiltration unit that is in the entire filtration plant? Nephron. Nephron. Nephrons are like individual microfilters present in this entire complex of filters. Alright. So you need to create pipelines to deliver blood to these microfilters. Now think about it. You have designed a mechanical filter. This mechanical filter to remove a lot of fluid along with everything that can pass through the pores, should it have high pressure in the pipelines delivering blood to it, or low pressure compared to similar sized vessels elsewhere? It is a capillary network. Blood is supplied to the nephrons through capillaries, glomerular capillaries. What did we discuss about the pressure of blood in capillaries? The pressure will be high or very low? Very low. Why? Because the blood would have flowed through aorta, arteries, arterioles, and then reaches the capillaries. If there is low pressure, can you bring out a flush filtration? It's like flushing. Flush filtration can happen when there is high pressure. How do we solve it? So many problems, no? So it is better to be consumers than innovators. You just have to use. To innovate, you have to create. What is this I am writing? Can anybody tell me what I have written? Aorta. This is the beginning of aorta. This is arch of aorta. This is thoracic part of aorta, abdominal aorta. Then in the end it will branch out into, what is this? Femoral arteries. Femoral arteries. Alright. So have you heard of angioplasty, angiogram? Angiogram is the investigation, imaging investigation done to find out where there are blocks in the heart blood vessels. All right. Femoral arteries are where? Where are the femoral arteries? What comes to your mind when I say femur? Femur. Femur is thigh bone. So femoral artery, where it might be? Where do you think the femoral arteries might be? Femoral arteries are in the thighs. So can you visualize? There is heart, aorta is arching here. The arch of aorta will supply the blood vessels to the upper limb, upper part, head and all. Carotid arteries will come from there and it supplies the neck and brain. Then the aorta curves and comes here at the back, not at the back, in between the front and back of the body, closer to the back. It is coming down, thoracic part of aorta. Then you have abdominal aorta. As it comes down towards the pelvis, it will branch out into femur and goes on dividing and it will end in the capillaries and then it will start joining back again together. Alright. Renal arteries. Renal arteries are the arteries which will supply blood to the kidneys, which are entering the kidneys. Renal arteries are coming from here. Solution for the pressure problem. For all the other capillary networks, the capillaries would have formed after multiple levels of branching. Now here, you have the aorta, you have the renal artery. Renal artery is also a very powerful artery, big artery. The renal artery will enter the kidney. You see this? Renal artery is coming. Then it branches in the pelvis of the kidney. and artery, the arteries will branch out into the afferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole, you see that? Afferent arteriole is closer in the network to the artery. So that also has good amount of muscles. So this is a network of vessels which has been designed to deliver blood to the nephrons at high pressure, because this is closer to aorta here. Branching is less. Are you understanding? So the renal arteries are coming from aorta, abdominal aorta. It will be one big artery until it enters the kidney. After it enters the kidney, minimal branching, the distance traveled is lesser. The distance traveled is lesser, it will go into the different parts of the kidney, and it will reach the nephrons as afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole, A-F-F-A-R-E-N-T, afferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole is smaller in diameter than the afferent arteriole. You see this is not an end capillary network. This is not an end capillary network. Generally what happens? There is an artery. Let's say there are arterioles. Then there is capillaries. Then you have venous capillaries, then venules, and goes on like this. Correct? No? The glomerular capillaries are capillaries which are in between the arteriole. Then again arteriole continues. Alright, you have a capillary network in the middle of a bigger vessel, and this is also designed like this. What do you observe here? Let's say this is the afferent arteriole, this is the efferent arteriole, this is the capillary network inside the glomerulus, glomerular capillaries. What do you observe between the afferent arteriole and the efferent arteriole? What do you notice? This is smaller. Efferent arteriole is smaller compared to the afferent arteriole. What will that contribute to? Now let's say a certain volume of blood is coming into the capillary network. It has to exit. The exit road, it's like highways. Alright, you have a big highway on which some vehicles are coming. All of these vehicles are diverted to smaller roads, and all of these smaller roads will again join together to form the next highway. Vehicles are 100 vehicles are crossing every minute on this highway. Those 100 vehicles are distributed into different smaller roads. And then when all of them come together and merge to the distal highway, that highway is smaller than the highway which they came from. So the number of vehicles that can cross this highway, the next highway per minute, will it be more or less or same? Less. That means the flow there is reduced. That will create more pressure inside these arterial roads or the smaller roads. You see that? Are you understanding? See how the design is to ensure glomerulus gets, the glomerular capillaries get a good amount of pressure to filter out blood, to filter out a large volume of fluid from the vessels. And this arteriole goes around, and that arteriole forms a capillary network around the tubes in the nephron. Proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, those tubules have the capillary network around, and that capillary network will join together and continue as the renal venous system. Alright. So ideally other places what will happen? Arterial system comes, capillary network is the end of the arterial system, and then venous network begins. But in kidneys what they have done? The designers, you call it God who has designed it or evolution which has designed it. The designers of this network have designed it in such a way that there are two capillary networks in the arterial system. There are two capillary networks in the arterial system, or the junction of arterial and venous capillaries is one network. But before you reach there, in the arterial system, there is one more capillary network, that is at the glomerulus, at the mouth of the filtration unit. The mouth of the filtration unit is nephron. At the mouth of the filtration unit, you have a network of capillaries. So it has to be capillaries to allow movement of fluid. And it has to be capillaries which will have high pressure to allow rapid flow of fluid, large amount of fluid, large volume of fluid into the mouth of the filtration unit, so that filtration can happen properly. For that, you need to have high pressure in the capillary network, which is not the case in most of the capillary networks in the body. In capillary networks of the body, the pressure is low. So to create high pressure, you need to have this capillary network closer to the high pressure systems. So you put this capillary network in between the arterial structures. In between an artery, in the middle of a full formed artery, arteriole is a smaller sized artery. You have a network. And this is a branch of another artery which is a direct branch of aorta. Correct? Are you understanding? The design. Purpose we know. This is what the kidney has to do. This is what the renal system has to do. But how do you design it? You need to have the design to deliver that purpose, no? To deliver that purpose, you need to have the design. Without a proper design, you will not have efficient actions, and without proper action, the purpose will not be fulfilled. So, the most important thing is having clarity of purpose, and next is to have a detailed, functional, logical design, and then checks and balances in the action to ensure the design is acted upon properly to fulfill the purpose. Like making a movie. Correct? If you apply PDA formula to the movie, what is the first thing that you have to fix in a movie? What do you want to tell? Message, purpose. What is the purpose of this story? Even if you say, I don't have any message, it is pure entertainment. Some people tell, no, if it is for message, then why do we have to do movie? We can read a book, we can watch documentaries. Every movie has a purpose. It might be entertainment, it might be exciting you, it might be making you go into a fantasy world, it might be making you get scared, it might be making you feel proud of your country, it might be making you feel disgusted about your country, making you feel happy about who you are, making you feel ashamed of who you are, but you have a purpose. Every movie will achieve that, every good movie achieves that purpose. So you analyze, when you watch a movie, you can retrospectively analyze the PDA of that movie. What is the purpose of this movie? After you watch this, you can read the synopsis and all that, and you will know what is the purpose of the movie. After you watch the movie, you yourself will be a testimony to whether the movie achieved its purpose or not. Then you can look at its design and action. The design is the script. Script is the design. Proper detailed script on what you will do for every frame. A good movie is made through 70% in your drawing room, 30% on ground. 70% is planning, 30% is execution. A properly made plan will lead to good execution. So design, then action is actually translating it. Alright. I have worked in cinema as a writer. Alright, very, very small part. I have been an insurance agent. I have done door-to-door sales. I am a doctor. I am an educationist. I am a social entrepreneur. I have been trained by the City Armed Reserve in weapon handling, civilian weapon handling training I have undergone. All right. All crazy things, whatever I feel like doing, I have done. Everything gives a different kind of an experience. Now I can see a lot of things in unrelated things. All right. Purpose is there for everything. So kidney, design. You are understanding the design. The design is very intricate. Now, pressure problem is sorted out. Pressure problem is sorted out. The next problem is you have removed things. You have removed things. You have to take it back. There are two more things there. You have to remove everything. You have created a mechanical filter, porous filter. Mechanically it gets filtered out. Okay, you have designed the mouth of the filtration unit glomerulus to be porous. You have created a flush by creating a capillary network inside the glomerulus with high pressure. Fluid will come into the tube. How do you take back? For taking it back, one, you need to have mechanism of reception, mechanism of identification. What should you take back? To what extent? How much you should take back? How much should you take back and to what extent you should take back? And again, there is around every capillary, can you send anything into capillaries directly? Can you send anything into capillaries directly? Where should you send it? Now you have pulled out the fluid into the tube, nephron, into the nephron. The fluid is coming down, the ultrafiltrate is coming down the proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. Then it goes into Henle's loop and then it goes into DCT. All of those stories you have studied. PCT will bring about, what is the purpose of PCT? There are different stages: ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption, selective secretion, concentration of urine. All those four processes should happen. PCT, some absorption should happen. Where will it go? What is absorbed? What should be absorbed? Where will it go? How does it get back into circulation? These are the three things. What should be absorbed can be decided by identifying what is to be taken back and creating channels of taking it back. And these channels have to be smart channels and not just mechanical channels. So there has to be regulation of how much something is to be taken back. Are you supposed to find glucose in urine? Are you supposed to find glucose in urine? You are not supposed to find glucose in urine. If you find glucose in urine, what does that mean? Diabetes. Why? Somebody who was supposed to take back glucose has not been able to take back glucose completely. Under normal conditions, within the normal range of glucose, all the glucose that is filtered out should be taken back. Because glucose is necessary for cellular metabolism. Glucose is necessary for storage as reserve energy. Evolution has trained us to take back every amount of glucose, every bit of glucose available and convert it into fat and store it. If we are finding it in urine, it means whoever was supposed to take back glucose has not been able to take it back completely. Either it can be because there is very high level of glucose, or this fellow who is supposed to take back is not functioning properly. If there is high level of glucose, easy to find out, the person might be diabetic. If the person is normal, then you still find glucose in the urine. What that might mean? There might be some problem with the kidney. The person might be in renal failure. What extent, all of that is subsequent analysis. All right. So, in the design, we have to ensure we have receptors for taking back, we have channels for taking back necessary substances. We know what our body requires. So, it is easy to incorporate gates of movement in these tubes. So, that you deliver, that you have. Where will it go? It should go into the tissue space. It will go into the tissue space around the nephrons, around the tubes in the nephron. So that will get drained into the lymphatics that are present in the kidneys. And via the lymphatic circulation, it will go back into the general circulation, go back into the heart, and it becomes a part of the blood again. But how much should it be taken back? In kidney, it is not only about taking whatever is available from the tubes. It is regulated movement. That means you need to have a reference parallel to the nephron. Correct? What is the reference? The reference is blood. The reference is blood. That means you have to have a mechanism of circulating blood around the nephrons, around the tube. So have you seen those diagrams where there is nephron and blood vessels, capillaries around it? What do you call those capillaries? What do you call those capillaries? Vasa recta is around the glomerulus. Alright. Vasa recta you can say capillary network around the nephrons. Alright. Capillary network around the nephrons will act as the reference for the tubes to cross check how much should be taken back. Alright. So what is, you see in that Henle's loop, counter current mechanism, you will see two things in the capillary and in the nephron. You will see the electrolyte concentration. Electrolyte concentration you will see, specific gravity you will see how it keeps changing. 1300 to 700 to 1300 again concentration happens, water moves in some direction, salt moves in some direction, all of that electrolyte balance. Where is it moving? With reference to the blood vessel, there is blood vessel on one side, there is nephron on the other side, there is balance brought about with fluid getting accumulated in the perinephron space, the space around the nephrons, which will be drained by the renal lymphatic network. Done, over. Now, okay, you do all this, designing part, all of this is done. First is ensure there is enough pressure for the mechanical filtration to happen. Ensure that the filtration unit has mechanism for rebalancing the composition of the filtrate. Then take back whatever is necessary that has to happen from the tubes. So it cannot be immediately going to dumping yard. You need to allow time for the fluid to pass through these tubes. That is why you have the PCT, loop, Henle's loop and DCT. Alright, Henle's loop, why is it narrow compared to the PCT and DCT? One design wise if we look at it, Henle's loop being narrow will slow down the clearance of fluid from the PCT. Correct? If the loop was also of the same size, PCT, Henle's loop and DCT were all of the same size, the fluid would have passed continuously from PCT to loop to DCT. Henle's loop has become narrow because the fluid that has been collected, collection of fluid is fast, it is mechanical, rapidly it is being collected. You should give enough time for the fluid to stay in the PCT for the receptors to identify what is necessary and take them all back. If it just gets cleared off as it is coming, the time is less. Correct? It's like you have to sort balls, colored balls. You have a conveyor belt on which the balls are coming and you are standing there. You have to sort it. And then all these balls will keep passing on the conveyor belt. The balls are coming at a rapid pace. If the conveyor belt continues at the same size, all the balls are moving there, you have to just pick it up as the balls are coming, which might make you miss out. But let's say if the passage there at a distance becomes narrow, what will happen to the pace of clearing the balls? It will slow down. When it slows down, you have enough time to look at the balls and pick up whatever balls you want, which will give you time to ensure that everything that has to be picked up from this conveyor belt is picked up and nothing is left out. So why Henle's loop after PCT? To allow for this. You understand? Why sphincters in the stomach and not in the small intestine? To allow for holding food in the stomach. Are you getting it? DCT? DCT directly goes into the collecting ducts and that goes into the ureters and then goes out of the pelvis ureter and gets stored in the urinary bladder. So you don't have to hold fluid in the DCT. Most of it is already done. And also another important reason is, one, this becoming narrow, Henle's loop becoming narrow helps in the PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, taking back what is necessary. Also, Henle's loop being narrow helps in small volumes of blood passing through Henle's loop. Small volumes of ultrafiltrate passing through Henle's loop. What is the purpose of Henle's loop? Bring about water and salt balance, reabsorption of water. A large volume of water has to be reabsorbed from there. So that water being in close proximity to the absorption surface is more beneficial for absorption, no? Smaller pipes, you have water being in closer distance to the wall of the pipe through which absorption is happening. So you don't let out more than what is necessary. So slow passage of fluid in this helps in concentration also and helps in better reabsorption in the PCT. Why nephron has to be the way it is? Has it been the way it is? If you study the evolution of kidney, you will see the change in the shape of nephron from primitive nephrons to the most advanced nephrons we have. You have that, no, proto kidney and all that different levels of kidneys that we will study in evolution. Alright. So it's not that suddenly something happened. From time to time, there are things that have evolved, and evolution has led to establishment and consolidation of those processes which are beneficial for achieving the purpose. Is this the end? Have we reached the end of our evolution? No. It will continue to evolve. It will continue to evolve. Though now it appears like it is going on very well, it will continue to evolve, and anything that is more beneficial will gradually start becoming the process that will continue to be adopted or adapted. We will adapt and adopt. Adaptation leading to adaptation. Alright. And adaptation happens when you have exposure to forces of change. If you don't expose to the force of change, there is no need to adapt. If you don't adapt, you will not be able to adopt improvised mechanisms. And if you don't adopt improvised mechanisms, you will not have better ways of functioning. Alright. So, every time I get a chance to reinforce the superiority of the systems I design, I will use that. Alright. I am a policy, process and systems person. My absence should not be of any impact if I design the system properly. Now what are you going through? You are going through processes and systems which are challenging your way of life. You are being forced to adapt to something different, to something which you are not used to. You are forced, you are willingly doing it also, but physically and psychologically you are being forced. Whether I am forcing it or I have motivated you to force yourself, that is a different story. But there is force on your mind, yes or no? Even now, during this session also, some of you are forcefully trying to stay awake. Not that you are trying to sleep, you are trying to sleep. You are not trying to sleep. You have the will to sit in the class, but you don't have the adaptation to sit for a 3-hour-long high-intensity discussion. You are not adapted to it. So there is a continuous conflict, evolutionary conflict going on right now as we speak. The evolutionary conflict is your intelligence is aligned to adapt to this process which your logic is telling will help you fulfill your dreams. Mind wants to be in a state of equilibrium. Mind wants to stay where it is. Change makes it uncomfortable, and change makes it work hard, work more. Mind will try to find a path of least resistance. Mind is like a river which will try to flow in the path of least resistance. Intention is like, the will is like the dam. You have to store it. You have to store the force. Intent and the action is like the power generator, hydroelectric power generation system. You have to make all of that accumulate and move in a particular direction, fall on a particular thing, propel the whatever that is. What is that moves in the power generator, hydroelectric power? Turbines. Propel the turbines, and that leads to electricity. The energy that got translated into electricity was there in water, potential energy. And that potential energy can be translated into another form only when it is taken through a process of transforming that energy into another form. Alright, that is evolution. That is evolution. Unless you push the boundaries of your comfort zone, you will not evolve. So that is what you are being made to do. Alright. So, okay, anyways, I will not make it more, self-aggrandizing here. But as you move ahead in your life, if you go through this phase of period, this period with full compliance, when you are 90-year-old, or when you are getting your Bharat Ratna or Padma Shri or whatever awards for your success, for your contribution, and you are asked what was the defining moment, what was the defining phase of your life. You might have forgotten my name, but you will remember there was some fellow who designed something to torture us, and it is that torture chamber that made me capable of, going through anything. Alright, looking back, you will feel, if I have gone through that, this is nothing. Alright, okay. So, this is the design. Action, we will see. Action is simple, 4 things. Ultrafiltration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion, concentration of urine. And design wise, after the urine is formed, it has to be stored and excreted. Storage is in the urinary bladder, and there also design should be such that it should be a stretchable organ. It should be a stretchable organ. Anything which is empty and can store fluid or air is called a bladder. Alright. There are multiple bladders. Urinary bladder stores urine. Alright. So there will be an inlet. Inlet is coming from the kidneys. From the kidneys, the pipes that will carry the urine to the urinary bladder is, what do you call those pipes? Ureters. Ureters. So the urinary bladder stretches. For it to stretch, what is it that you want to use to build it? What will you use to build it? Muscle. So urinary bladder also has muscles, and we know there are 3 types of muscles that we have in our body. Cardiac muscles exclusively for heart, skeletal muscles for the voluntary muscles. All the other places in the blood vessels, in the urinary bladder, all of these places, what kind of muscles do we have? Smooth muscles. Smooth muscles give certain advantages which skeletal muscles can't. We'll discuss that when we discuss musculoskeletal system, probably with relation to some question. Now, these muscles are there in the kidney, they stretch. There is one more specialty in the urinary bladder. There is one more specialty in the urinary bladder. It has a special type of epithelium inside. What is that epithelium? Urinary bladder has a very special epithelium. Urothelium is the name. Epithelium of the urinary bladder is the urothelium. What is special about it? It stretches. What is the name of that epithelium? There are different types of epithelium. Squamous epithelium, thin and flat. Where do you want to have squamous epithelium? In your alveoli. Cuboidal epithelium, which can provide a balance between absorption and stability. Columnar epithelium, where absorption is not much of importance, but strength is of importance. So in your respiratory pathways, you can have columnar epithelium. You have epithelium with cilia. You have epithelium which are villus. Villus is folded epithelium. Cilia is hair on the epithelium. In the fallopian tube, you have ciliated epithelium. If you want something to be carried, it should be ciliated epithelium. Have any of you watched the series movies? Tinkerbell series? Tinkerbell. Cartoon. Not cartoon, animated movie. Have you watched it? Tinkerbell and the Never Beast. Watched it? You have to watch it. Oh, okay, you can't watch it now. I have watched a lot of movies and I watch movies. My daughter is 2-year-old. She will turn 2 on Monday, 22nd. One of the common activity that I am planning with her is I am building a list of movies to watch with her. Once she turns 3, one movie every day. Imagine. 3 years to 18 years, for 15 years, one movie every day. Imagine the kind of knowledge that you will gain. Okay? So, movies, good movies are an outcome of a lot of research, hard work, lot of things. What will take many days and weeks for you to gather that information, gather that kind of perspective, movies will give you in 2-3 hours. It will just open up your mind. Alright? We're all missing movies. You can watch one movie every day after May 4th. Okay. So, why I told Tinkerbell and the Never Beast is, there is one misunderstood beast. By the end of the movie, the beast will be carried by all these fairies. Alright. Okay, anyways. There is a beautiful song also for that scene. So fallopian tube, why does it need ciliated epithelium? What does it carry? Ovum. Ovum has to be gently carried forward. You cannot kick it or you cannot drag it. You have to float it. It has to float. So wherever you want some floating to happen, you can add hair. Kidney, nephron, not the nephron, urinary bladder, and there is one more organ which will undergo tremendous stretch. Where you want stretch, you need to have a particular type of epithelium. 2 organs in human beings which will have this kind of epithelium, stretching epithelium, stretchable epithelium. It's called transit. And all of us did it only for a period of time, and after that we stopped stretching it. We were not allowed to stretch it. We did not have access to this organ to stretch it further. Come on. See, think about it now. All of us have stretched this organ and we continue to stretch it, increasing the stretch day by day. We stretched this organ for a period of time, and after a certain period, we were denied access to this organ so we could not stretch it further. And after that, when we don't have access to the organ to stretch it, we cannot stretch it. So we stretched it for a period of time. Be louder. Skin. You can stretch it as long as you're alive. You have access to your skin or not? Think with all these pieces together. It's very simple. What is the organ? What is the organ? Did you all hear or not? When did you stretch it? When did you stretch it? When you were a Fetus. Whose uterus did you stretch? You stretched your mother's uterus. For a period of time. For how many, for what duration of time did you stretch it? 9 months. After that, you were denied access to that. You were removed from it. And beyond, after that, you did not have access to this organ to stretch it further. And it was only for that period of time you stretched it. Alright. Uterus. Uterus also should stretch, no? A small organ. A small organ stretches and stretches and stretches to accommodate a baby of 2.5 kgs. With the fluid and all the placenta and all that, the total weight that the uterus will bear is about 4 to 5 kgs. Massive weight bearing. Alright. So these two organs will have stretchability. Urinary bladder done. Below that, going from urinary bladder, what do we have? Urethra. Urethra is also a tube which will carry urine from the urinary bladder to be thrown out. Now, do you want to have any flow regulating mechanisms in this design? Do you want to have any flow regulation? What do you want to have? Do you need to have valves anywhere? There is no need to have valves because the flow is maintained in a direction by pressure. It is all pressure gradient is there for the flow to be maintained. Okay, then what do you want to have? Sphincters. Where? Where do you want to have sphincters in the design? Do you want to have any sphincters in the kidney? No. In the ureter? Urinary bladder? In the urinary bladder, do you want to have sphincters? Internal urethral sphincter and external urethral sphincter. There are two sphincters. One sphincter at the junction of the urinary bladder and the urethra. One sphincter distally. So there is internal urethral sphincter and external urethral sphincter. These sphincters, are they made of smooth muscles or skeletal muscles? Smooth muscles, but regulated by voluntary will. You can voluntarily regulate it. Okay. Training would have taken 2-3 years. Training for regulation would have taken 2-3 years. And involuntary action might have overridden the voluntary control even after that. So I told you, nothing is absolutely voluntary. Nothing is absolutely voluntary in human body. There is voluntary control of the urinary sphincters and also anal sphincters, socially saving us. But there can be instances where the voluntary control can be lost, leading to uncomfortable and embarrassing situations, but it is not necessarily a disease. Might be a moment, it can happen to everybody, it happens to everybody. Alright, so that's all. This is the design. Function, four events we have to study: ultrafiltration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion, and countercurrent mechanism for concentration of urine. With this story, with the PDF format applied to understanding the renal system, you go back and read it from your book. See those capillaries, do you understand now? Around the nephron. The capillaries around the nephron here. This one. Vasa recta. Capillary network around the nephron. Where is that coming from? Distal arteriole or the efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole leads to form the capillary network. You see this? See this here? Afferent arteriole is coming. Then you have the glomerular capillaries. Then it drains into the efferent arteriole. Then it again branches to form the vasa recta around the tubes. Now you read it, you will understand the entire story. Alright. So, renal system done. Okay. Tomorrow morning 6:30 to 8:30 session I will take. Then I will be leaving around 11 o'clock. I will meet you on 16th August. 16th August, after another 20 days, about a month more. All right. By then you would have completed 3 more papers. So all the 4 papers you have to complete analysis and make notes on that. From time to time, every week I will be sharing the soft copy of my solutions to all the papers to madam, and madam will share it to you, the soft copies. After you have completed your own analysis, you go through my analysis also. Why I am not giving that in print? I want you to add whatever you feel is relevant to your notes and not take printout of it and read from my notes. Clear? For post-test analysis notes and these things, you can continue to do it test by test. So by the time we meet next, you would be completing your syllabus maps. Syllabus maps would be over and you should have a fair idea of the entire outline of the syllabus. And you would be working on maybe partially your level 1 notes also would be completed. Analysis of 4 papers, the one which we concluded, and 3 more weeks. So next meeting there would be significantly faster discussions and you also being able to relate to large number of concepts. All right. Okay, we have another 3 minutes. We will break for lunch. 2 to 4, 5:30 to 8:30. I'll be available. I'll be here only. I'll be working from this room only. Any questions anybody has in whatever we have discussed, or some things which you are stuck at, we will discuss in the study sessions. Anything that anybody wants to ask about what we discussed today? 2 systems we completed: cardiovascular system and renal system. Anything you want to ask? Any doubts? Any clarifications? Nothing? Okay. We'll break for lunch now. Thank you.